this brief. So, okay, first of all, welcome to the UCEN Graphic Design and Advertising course online talks. It's our 7th so far, and we've got, I think one of them wasn't recorded, but in general, most of them have been recorded and are on our website. Paolo, I've just got a notification. Are you on that door, are you? Just looked like there was a notification. Maybe somebody wanted to come in. Just thought I'd mention it. Anyway, so this talk is called Embracing Live Briefs, and that's something that we do a lot and our students have to do a lot of. We're very, very grateful to all of the industry that get involved with the course, and we've got 42nd Street here. We've got Rod from 42nd Street here, and we'll also be talking about Kin Carta brief for the one of our second talks, I think, on Kin Carta brief. Just before I start, I just want to say welcome to our students. I can't see everybody here, but I know we've got Soraya and we've got Shane whose work we'll be looking at today. Any other students, also applicants through UCAS, they will obviously be watching these videos, and any alumni, Cameron, obviously, and hello to any external, internal courses watching, and management. I think we've got Carol here as well, and obviously our industry guest, Rod. Please feel free to interrupt. Raise your hand for a chat. I think we'll be switching hosts throughout the session, so Paolo will be keeping an eye on that. But just in general, whack your speaker on, put your camera on and say, I've got a question, and that's absolutely fine, or bung it into the chat. Hopefully we won't have any technical issues. If we do, if we've got screen sharing problems, either the tutors will pick up, or if the meeting goes down, we'll just restart it again. Okay, so just a brief bit about the course. The course is called Graphic Design and Advertising. It's been running for over 30 years. We've got alumni at McCann, Kin Carta, Vogue, The Flavor People, Publish Sapient, who that would have been Cameron, who is now freelance, co-founder of Ahoy, brand creative director at Marks and Spencer's, and so on and so forth. If you've got any inquiries, please just click onto the website. We'll be putting the links for this talk into the chat. They'll all be there at the end, and I think Paolo will probably be popping them in as we go. Okay, so today we're looking at two industry projects. They're short motion design pieces. Motion design is becoming very current, and the course has sort of embraced that in the second and third year. Over the last 3 years, I'd probably say, we've got some really close connections with leaders in this field, particularly Kin Carta. But I'll just try and welcome Rod from 42nd Street. 42nd Street are a charity that support and advise young people on emotional health and well-being, and they've been kind enough to give us a project to work on the subject of loneliness and young adults, or loneliness within young adults, should I say. So I'll pass over to Paolo now. Paolo, if you want to hand the hosting over to me, I'll watch the door and keep an eye on the chat for you, and stop sharing my screen. Is that okay?
Sure, wait a second. Okay, you're now the host, Alex.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to introduce Rod Kippen from 42nd Street here in Manchester. And then the students will show some of their work, talk through the projects, and then, but we're going to start with understanding the project better, and first of all, Rod's role. So Rod, could you tell us what your role is, please, within 42nd Street?
Certainly. So, as you said, yeah, we're a charity that's been with 40 years in Manchester, working with young people, currently 11 to 25-year-olds, offering a whole host of kind of counselling methods. We're not a medical model, we don't diagnose young people. We're there to kind of support them through counselling, but also we run lots of groups. And I'm lucky enough to be the creative director at the charity, and I have the Horsefall Gallery, which is a a space next to 42nd Street on Great Ancoats Street in Manchester. And it's 3 stories, quite small, but kind of an old building, one of the originals on the street, on the row. And we do lots of art sessions and we do lots of outreach stuff. And we use art for the many purposes. One, it's a release, it's a kind of thing to do, a positive activity to do, takes your mind off things, gets you focused on things. Also, we use it as a reflective tool, so you can get what's in your head out onto the paper or out through the music or the film you're making. You know, much the same as you do with counselling. Once you've said the piece to the counsellor, it becomes a different thing. And art's a very good way of making these feelings kind of tangible and manipulatable, and you can adapt them and change them. And then also, that's a very good way of young people using art to communicate their experiences. So we do lots of work with young carers and care experienced young people to communicate the situation of being in care or being a young carer. And art is a very way of of us understanding their experiences through their communication through art. Now, loneliness came up for us probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We could take referrals from doctors, nurses, teachers, but we also take direct referrals from young people. And loneliness was, when we looked at why people were referring into the service, loneliness was highering up the levels of identified was the reason they wanted counselling. And depression was going down slightly. So what we felt that was, when we looked into it, was people understanding why they were feeling low and identifying loneliness as a reason for that. So we did this great piece of research with MMU and some young people to look at the reasons for that. And in kind of true 42nd Street style, it looked at the societal impacts on young people. So it wasn't just, this, I suppose what we would look at is not what's wrong with you, but what have you had to deal with type stuff. And it looked at many aspects of the conditions for young people at the time, which was 4 or 5 years ago, the lack of youth provision, the cost of being able to connect and do things, the pressures of social medias, and also the transitions, identifying how it was to be between 10 and 20, the transitions you go through from primary school to secondary school to possibly college or 0-hour contracts or work, all these areas of transition, as long with the personal ones of you change your relationship within the family or with your carers, changing the kind of sexuality and burgeoning sexuality and that transition as well. And transitions, we know, are areas where we quite often feel more vulnerable. So it's the pandemic people either got through or struggled with, but the transition back into society will be is an area of kind of vulnerability. So that feeling when you first start school or college or a new job, those first 2 weeks, you're feeling very vulnerable. So we're really interested in that aspect as well. So that's why we're always looking for ways to communicate through different mediums the situation of young people.
And can I ask, the research that you undertook, was it was mainly focused around the Greater Manchester area? Was it UK wide with young people?
It was focused with a group of young people from 42nd Street, okay. But I think it was kind of a national, I think it attracted national attention, but we did focus on young people being researchers. They were called peer researchers, but actually they were researchers. They were given the role of developing questions and talking to young people about what issues may be rising for them around loneliness.
For those of you just also in attendance, in chat there are the links to the loneliness report undertaken by MMU and Dr. James Duggan.
Yeah.
42nd Street, and also there's a blog for the Loneliness Project. But certainly worth looking at later on after we've looked at these, the student work. So obviously we've got the students involved, and perfect timing in terms of our end of term projects.
Yeah. With
libraries, it's always great because they have real life, timelines to deal with, to adhere to, and to respond to, and we're very grateful for your attendance. Certainly, in giving them feedback at certain touch points, just help them along when you're getting a bit stuck and overwhelmed with development. So, I mean, what are your initial thoughts in terms of how the students worked with you, and what their creative responses were?
I think it's great, and I think we need artists to be open. It's important. I've worked at charities many years. It's important how we're presenting issues. We can quite often present young people as victims. There's different theories about how we represent young people as victims, as wild, as adults in training. We're really keen on young people presenting as they are, as a unique moment in time in their life, in their lifetime. So not adults in becoming, but actually understanding their position and whatnot. So I think it's really good. I think we sometimes work with art. We do training for artists to get them onto the way of that we work, because it's really important how you present the work that we're doing, that we want young people to be understood for the pressures they feel, also celebrated. We don't want, I mean, you'll see it in charities quite often, they'll have the sympathetic, the poor child, you know, as represented, and young people get fed up of this, and it's not really that helpful, really. Young people have agency. They could do with a bit more support to have more agency, but they're in a position of dealing with what's on offer. So I think it's really good, and I think the artists were really good at listening to that feedback, because it might seem not that important from the outside, but to us working in the field is really interesting. It's really interesting how we dictate that national conversation about things. So yeah, and that's really what the Horsefall's trying to do.
Yeah, no, I love the work you're all doing. Obviously, I know Ricardo who works there, but it's just amazing. I love the premise, love the whole aspect of getting creative stuff out of the kids and getting them involved. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful resource. So yeah, well done to you all. I wanted to bring in the students in terms of looking through their work and to show you yourself, Rod, as the 42nd Street representative is more to show you some of their development work and what they picked out from a report, which is important as well. So I'm probably start with Soraya's. Bear with me a sec, I'll try and share my screen. Okay, so as you can see here, what we use at the uni is the Miro boards or Miro boards, and it sort of helps track their development work, and more so that we can give them live feedback as we're watching this as well. So Soraya, are you there? Yeah, you are, right. So, so giving a report to Shane and Soraya, we sort of asked them to go back and pick out the parts that they might be able to respond to creatively and what stood out for them. We've both done a really, really wonderful job of just analysing this in real detail and picking it out and what depth and what would look good visually. So I can show you here just a little bit of, and obviously, sorry, this is your opportunity to talk through this yourself as well. But it's important that Rod sort of understands your process and what you came up with for both of you students as well. Here you can see obviously picking out transition, painful stories of loss and loneliness and violence that some of them unfortunately experienced, being left out, excluded, and also some options for how they feel about social media and additional pressures on youngsters. It's all within this report. So the report itself is so big, it's incredible. So it's quite a challenge for the students to actually feel, well, how could we take out bits? What's the most important bits? And it's more, obviously as tutors we can sort of help guide them, but it's more to let them pick out the bits that resonated with them mostly. So that's what we left them to do. So Soraya, is there anything in particular you'd like to point out or part of your work as I'm going through this? What do you feel was the bigger parts for you, let's say?
Actually,
when you were picking out originally, the main parts that you can see here, what resonated with you most?
Actually, I try to show what reason lead young people to the loneliness in my video. And I try to bring out this important information from the Loneliness Connects Us report. And yeah.
Can I just butt in? I noticed I did have a quick look at that report. It was huge. How long did it take you to get through it, Soraya?
First of all, in the beginning, I try to read all of them, all the reports, and I try to bring out the important information and imagination and create the video.
How many times did you have to look at it?
1 week.
Yeah.
You spent a full week reading it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh. Yeah. Do you want to zoom out, Paolo? Because you can see on that board.
Yeah, this board's quite incredible. I mean, let's just start there. So you can see,
wow.
This is the note-taking area from Soraya's initial thoughts on the report and then how she's expanded from your initial talk, and then into some development ideas, some inspiration, and over to some more design work, some rough work. Yeah, and then this is all the development here. So it's just quite inspiring, really.
Wow, that's amazing.
The character work.
Voiceover and recording as well. So everything's tracked. It's incredible how it's all nicely done. So yeah. Sorry, Alex, you were saying?
The character work. Was that something that you enjoyed, Soraya?
Yeah, creating the character was so exciting in this part because I have never done it, and I tried to add a lot of idea and combination a lot of idea, and yeah, and I have a lot of inspiration from the report because there are a lot of experience and stories of the people, and I can having imagination and creating the characters, which each present some separate stories in my video.
Did you always draw some of the characters first? Yeah.
Yeah.
Have we got some? I think there's some iterations, some various characters right at the top, Paolo.
Above this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here.
There we go on your right. Yeah. So you sort of have developed and adapted from inspiration, Soraya?
Yeah, I can remember, first of all, I tried to draw and I tried to illustrate same as my inspiration. And my tutor, Alex, warned me and said me, this is look like a copy. And after that, I tried draw by myself and develop them. And finally, and this website really helped me to design the characters.
Did you have, I know that you've storyboarded the project. Can we have a quick look at some of those storyboards?
Yeah.
Is it within here somewhere?
It's underneath that, I think. On the right, there was.
Is it here where I'm?
Over on your right, if you go over
right.
a bit more over to your right, yeah. There, can you see these tiles here? No, that's it. The pink and blue.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
Just go into some of them. So what happened here, Soraya? There's two sets of storyboards here, aren't there?
Yeah, they are my initial idea, and after getting tutor feedback, I try to develop them. And here I try to show the loneliness as a plague, but the customer Rod asked me to never call the loneliness like this, and I try to change all the design.
So so several directions were chopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we able to look at the final piece?
Yes.
Can I just point something out here, because we're almost doing this the other way round, because Rod, the work that they did for you was after the work for Kin Carta. So the work that you got was quite polished, and you'll see, hopefully you might see that sort of the work we did with Kin Carta was just maybe a little rougher. Would the students agree with that? Shane, would you agree?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So they had more time on this, though, Alex, or what do you think?
Well,
that's a good question. That's a good question. Yes, they did have more time on this project. Yeah,
I'd say we had more experience with the software as well, though.
By
this
this
process.
Yeah. Okay, shall I show?
Yeah.
We're ready to see your work.
Could I just say something here? Sorry, Paolo.
Yes.
Just to seeing that zoomed out and all the work that's gone into it, and the storyboard, I think from my perspective, I love to see that work in progress and the storyboards, and it looks really comprehensive. So I think you should be really happy with the progress and the process that you've been on. I know it can be painful. I remember the sketchbook for myself wasn't my strongest area, and I would be told to stick more and build more and develop more, and seeing that progress that you've done here is amazing, and the storyboards look really, really cool. industry standard, I'd say, as well. With the way you've annotated them, built them up frame by frame, I think you should be really, really proud and really impressed with the standard of work that you've developed.
Thank you, Cameron. Yeah, that's for you, sorry, not for me. So you know.
Yeah, I know. I said thank you.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it is always. I mean, for me especially, I'm more interested in process. I'm not even bothered about the final ideas. But in this instance, it's quite a beautiful project for both students. Yeah, I'm really pleased. But yeah, thanks for your thoughts, Cameron. I'm just going to show Soray's first, then we'll get on to Shane. So can you all see this? Am I able to make
that full screen?
Yeah, hang on.
If you're feeling lonely, it helps to listen to other people's experiences. You're not alone in feeling lonely. Loneliness can be caused by being too hard on yourself, trying to meet life's pressures, aspirations, or dealing with fear of failure. The judgment of others, whether it's about your sexual, racial, or cultural identity. Social media anxiety in your fear of missing out, or comparisons with fake idols. Remember, do not hide. Listen to others and talk to someone. That's why 42nd Street is here.
Much into that, Cameron.
Yeah, that is awesome. Really, really cool. Love the transitions. The storytelling was brilliant. It was all visualized very simply. It's quite difficult to represent something in video, isn't it? Whilst it's moving and there's voiceover, so you kind of, the cognitive load's a lot heavier. So it was super simple to understand and represented really nicely, I think. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I think, you know, certainly for me, for Soraya, on my part, I think this is your best project that I've seen you doing for years. Is you know, certainly, you know, the work you put into it, the focus and response to feedback from all tutors and Rod as well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done. I think I might need to stop. Do I need to go? I'm still sharing on.
No, that's the second year one is the one you want to go on to, because we just want you to look at Shane's work.
That's right. I want Shane now. Don't bear with me a second. So here we go.
Yeah.
So thank you, Soraya, for your thoughts, and Cameron for yours. So on to Shane now. Shane, this is Cameron, one of our ex-students. He was one of our best students. Look at him now, living in London. This is how exciting life is. There's hope for everybody. So, Shane, your thoughts then. What are your thoughts on in terms of your development work? How excited you were when you got the project? Because you were a bit stuck with something else to do, weren't you, at the time?
Yeah, I was really struggling with the self-directed. Like, to be honest, I had no idea what to do. So when I got my teeth into this project, I was like buzzing. You know, I was really excited. Unfortunately, I don't have really much of the process on the Miro because I was working in my sketchbook. So when I actually got the report, I printed every page off. I put it all in like a big folder. I highlighted every main point that, like, you know, that I could like go back to, or like, this is like, you know, something that like resembles with me, or, you know, that I liked. And then that like took me like 2 days straight, because as you said, the report is huge. I then, once I finished that, I went back and then I annotated everything, which then took me even more days. But it was just amazing to like get like such a good understanding of like the report and the things these people are saying. So I originally wanted to create sort of like it. I didn't really want to make like an infographic-y type thing. I wanted to make something that had like a story type thing to it. So I was heavily inspired by like the Disney shorts, you know, where it's like two people and they fall in love, and you know that it's all sunshine and rainbows, but like they always have like a bit of like, it's like always a serious undertone to them. So like I wanted to do something like that. So I was in my process, I was heavily like looking into like art styles and stuff like that. I originally wanted to go with like a darker color. If you look to the left there, you can see like I'm heavily inspired by like Limbo, which is a video game that deals with a lot of loneliness and stuff like that. And then like Harry Potter as well. on the left there is a scene where it's like all dark and silhouetted out. And that's like what I was going with, and until we had a meeting with Rod, and he was like, we don't like the dark, we change it up, which is completely fine. So I then started looking into colours and how they can be resembled. So if you scroll down a little bit, Paolo, there was yeah, just there, thank you. There was a TV show that came out at the time, One Division, that like really deals with loneliness and stuff like that. I won't spoil it for anyone that's not seen it, but you know, this person is dealing with being alone, so they construct this world, and the way they use color and stuff like that, you know, it shows a difference. So outside of the world, it's all dark and dismal. As you're transitioning into the world, it's, you know, it starts to getting colorful and like explosion of color, and then it's all bright rainbows. So going on with that, I wanted to use color as like a main thing. So I still needed an art style. So if you scroll down a little bit again, it's just there, thank you. The GIF moving thing. Okay. So I was really inspired by the line drawings, and as I said before, like I was more like comfortable with the software because I've never used After Effects before the start of this year. So the project with Kin Carta, which we'll talk about later, is when I first like learned After Effects, and then this was like the second time I started using it. So I kind of wanted to do something like a bit different and like try something else, and also try my illustration skills. So I went with a line drawing idea. And then if you can scroll down, Paolo, where is it? Maybe zoom out a little bit. I'm looking for the survey, if it's on there.
It's Katie.
It's fine, just leave it there, I'll just talk about it.
Okay.
So inspired by the results, I guess, of the report, where, you know, the most thing that hit me was like people's like first-hand like experiences and their comments. So I actually sent out a survey and did a bit of market research myself about loneliness, and like, have you ever experienced loneliness, and you know, what's your thoughts, like if someone was going through it, how could you help, that kind of thing. It was completely anonymous as well, so like I wasn't anticipating this, but I got about 400 replies back from like worldwide and of every like demographic you can think of, and people just absolutely opened their heart out for me. And like honestly, like it genuinely upset me, like hearing the kind of things these people are like going through. So I wanted to make it count. I wanted to do something. So going back to the whole like wanting to make something nice, like kind of like Disney theme, I decided to create my own poem. So if you can zoom in a little bit to the actual poem there, Paolo. So it took me quite a few tries and drafts and such, and getting a lot of feedback. But I wrote my own poem that included the results from the actual report, and included my results that I got as well. So it's broken down into 3 sections. So the first section is just being like generically lonely, you know, like I live on my own, I'm lonely, you know, I've got nobody to talk to. The second section is talking about how, yeah, but it's not just being alone. Loneliness is a state of mind. You know, as it literally says, you can be surrounded by people and you can still be lonely. But and then, as I wanted to make this sort of like a call to action to 42nd Street, on the third section, I added like a uplifting, hopeful section. And then this is like going back to the whole Disney theme, where it's like, yeah, it's really nice and such, but it can be like really hard hitting and for a reason. So, you know, like on the third section, I've got like you can do a hobby, you can leave your comfort zone, you can volunteer, and like remember you can always talk to someone that always lends an ear, which was perfect for 42nd Street. I absolutely.
So the participants is in the way there. You're on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's on my screen. How embarrassing! I'm quiet.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just thinking, Shane, don't go through the whole.
Sorry.
Don't go through the whole poem. I think it would be nice to see and hear that in context rather than.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Keep your powder dry.
Yeah. I can talk about this for days. So.
Yeah. Tell us about the fact that you wrote the music. Then that would be, you know. Then let's hear the piece in place. Yeah.
Okay, so as you can see, I've got quite the setup. So I got my friend to, well, I wrote the music first on piano and stuff like that. Like I was fiddling about with GarageBand, and this is the first time I've ever actually done anything like this as well. So this was a learning curve as well. And then I got my friend to record the poem because I tried it with my own voice and it just didn't sound right. So I needed that voice, which worked. Thanks, Jamie. But yeah, so like I combined the actual poem that I recorded and then the animation style of the video and the color that you'll see. And then Paolo, if you could play the video.
Let's see it. Yeah, let's see it.
Okay. Can you all see this?
Yeah, make it large. Yeah.
Loneliness is returning to an empty house with nobody to greet you. It's trying to find the motivation to call on somebody that wouldn't even meet you. It's the little moments that make you remember your loved ones past, the routines, the dreams, and the questions that you didn't get to ask. It's having dinner alone. It's being cold in the winter. It's that moment when you realise you truly missed them. It's trying to make a new friend after all the ones left. When you live on your own, feel alone, and don't get dressed. But loneliness is more than being alone. It's a state of mind. You can be surrounded by people, and loneliness you will find. It is waiting until daylight to sleep, so you can hear traffic. It's wanting to feel wanted, to be relevant, to be a part of your demographic. It's considering to end it all, thinking nobody's there to find you. Or thinking that you must go through something alone, but that isn't the case too. To think yourself as lonely is not something you should hide. Embrace the feeling, start the healing, and soon you can free your mind. Try a hobby, leave your comfort zone, or even volunteer. Or maybe even talk to somebody that will always lend an ear. To be alone can kill the soul, but please do remember, never believe that you're alone in life's great adventure.
So I want to go with a very simplistic style, which I feel like works perfectly because I wanted the main focus to be like on the actual wording and the the theme of the video. And then with the color, I only introduced the color right at the end, which was 42nd Street's color on their actual logo, just to have it pop out and be be the center of attention because it is.
And Rod, what was your feedback on that? On both those pieces?
Oh, I just think they're wonderful. They've taken something very complex, and I think the great work is simplifying that into a term that's. What I love about them both is I think for anyone, you identify with it. So as a young person, I think you'd identify with it, and also for other people, you'd learn about it. So it's got that dual thing, which we're always trying to do, I suppose, is support young people to feel like they're not alone, and then communicate to adults why young people might be feeling the way they're feeling. So I just think they're absolutely beautiful. Really chuffed with the work. It's really, I think they really get the essence of 42nd Street in terms of how they work. So dead chuffed with them.
Fantastic. I know that the students got a lot out of that project, and I mean, it was quite a project to unpick. I mean, I didn't get into the report. I think, I let them get into the report, and then I spoke to them about their findings of the report, because I saw that report and I was like, that's some report. I did scan it, but it was, I did scan it, but yeah, it was quite something.
Yeah, and it's really good for us. I think, I imagine for the students having something real. I mean, that's quite often when we're working with young people, is not, we want to do something real, so we'll do something that's published or something that's on the wall. Or I think that's lovely for us, and we'd love to do this every year. That will give you something tangible to work towards. Because we generally, we're not funded to have items like this made for us. We're funded to do the work, maybe do some engagement work, but stuff like this is icing on the cake for us, really.
That's fantastic, and we've got a good year coming up as well, another good year. So that would be amazing, wouldn't it, Paolo? Would you?
Yeah, no, it's great to hear.
That, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. I'm just going to wrap up the that part of the talk and move on to the Kin Carta work. Just because I don't want to be taking up too much of Rod's time, and just want to congratulate both the students on that. Paolo, would you mind just handing back? I know it's me that's got to hand back. I'm sorry, it's the other way around, isn't it? I need to hand back, yeah, to you. Let's just have a look at this, Paolo. Yeah, you should be getting that in a second.
Yeah.
Have you got that? Yeah, so Rod, thank you ever so much.
Are we okay to use it in our training and stuff? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah,
Really,
absolutely, and we're flattered, and I think the students are also that the work has been so useful to you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you both so much. Thank you, really appreciate it.
Be in touch. I'll see you.
Yeah,
I'm going to. Are you staying around for the second project, or you're going to hang around, have a quick look at this other project?
Who are you talking to?
To Rod here. Sorry.
I think he's gone.
No, I'm going to have to go. I've got to go back to my section.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
but thank you. I'd love to otherwise.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Okay, pleasure.
Bye there. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, this is quite interesting because
see the fair trade thing.
yeah, I'm sorry. This is quite interesting because let's just have a quick look here. This is Cameron's. This is where Cameron used to work when it was called a maze. It's Kin Carta now. But Cameron, you know that was your first. What was it, second post? Kin Carta.
First proper junior design role with Simon.
So this will be really interesting for you, I think, because Kin Carta have run projects with us. I think did they get involved with you? I can't remember whether we did at that stage. I don't think so.
We didn't do a project, but we had Simon come in and do the chat, and obviously that's when I met him.
Of course, yeah. I remember now. Yeah. So the students were the Kin Carta project at the moment is quite a large thing. So I should initially say Kin Carta are a global digital consultancy, and everything they do is screen based. And they run a project with us in the second and third year. The both years work together, and they sort of the whole project has quite a scope. So it starts with a visit and a briefing, and involves some teaching sessions. This year, those teaching sessions were quite. There were 3 teaching sessions. So we had a session from Lisa on creative thinking and the process of creative thinking. We had Hazel visit. Well, this was, of course, during lockdown, obviously, but she gave a talk on digital marketing and email marketing, and George as well on motion design. And now I know there was another chap that used to do some motion design with with Amaze when they were Amaze, who you probably know, Cameron, and his name has escaped me. I follow him on Instagram. But anyway, you probably, have you got the name?
No, I'm not sure who you're talking about, but George is a seriously talented guy when it comes to motion.
Yes, yeah, he is. And so the project has that going on, those teaching sessions, which is, I think, in advance of what you would have had at that point. It then there's a range of feedback, and also there's also a pitch, and then some mentoring and or placement opportunities as well to follow that. So it's probably one of the most involved pieces of work that students do with industry in terms of teaching, pitching, and they're given quite a detailed brief and a real life client sandbox to play with, and are sort of briefed on the values of that brand, and then given the problem. And on this particular occasion, they were tasked with promoting co-ops podcasts, which were carried out with an influencer. So second years were asked to deliver an animation on a topic for this podcast. The students had to choose the podcast topic. The third years had to choose the influencer as well. I'm just trying to get down to that. I think I might have overtaken that. So they had to come up with an icon as well for the podcast and for the topics. They choose a topic, come up with an icon, create a 15-second max animation. The third years had to come up with an influencer. The second years already had an influencer who was sort of backing that sort of string of talks of podcasts. So yeah, they were given co-op and co-op podcasts and an influencer, and they had to choose a topic, and the topic needed to have some connection with lockdown. And then they give us a schedule for what they're going to do with us and when they're going to do it, and a resources pack as well, which will include branding guidelines, assets, imagery, sound, all sorts of stuff. So, for a second year, there's a lot to cope with in that. They're coping with a lot, got a lot of plates they're trying to keep spinning here. So Shane, we've got some of your initial presentation. Some of this work was carried out sketchbook in sketchbook. So we're going to talk around some of the development work and some of the process, rather than show it all, because we didn't have it on boards at that particular point. But I know it's just seen a first year in this session, so I know they'll be quite interested in, the complexity of the brief, and it is pretty complex. So Shane, I'm just checking my notes here, making sure I've covered everything. Yeah, Shane, you, what was your topic and why?
My topic was to show the perspective of frontline NHS workers during the pandemic. So basically I've got family who worked for the NHS, I still work for the NHS, and during the pandemic, when we was all in lockdown, I was getting fed little bits of information, oh, this has happened, that's happened, and of course it was terrifying to think what's going on behind the closed curtain and stuff like that. So I thought it would have been a really interesting topic to get their perspective of everything that's going on.
And did you get that firsthand?
I did, yeah. I sent out surveys and got hundreds of results back for that as well. I love a good survey, but yeah, I got like their opinions, their thoughts, their things they've had to go through, and like I also got the demographic, their family status, and basically covered everything.
At this point, you've done no work on. I've got some Ross here. You've done no work on this particular application. Is there anything you'd like to?
Premise of this this unit absolutely terrified me, like when we first got the brief and all that. And like, because I remember Alex saying, especially our year, it's the shortest time that a year has ever had to actually do this work. So I was terrified, but being able to learn something like that in such like a short time, and the pressure is really on, it gave me so much confidence, and I felt like I was working for like an industry or something like that. Like, here's a turnaround, get it done.
Yeah.
And like the work that I created was my most inspired work I've ever made, and it's the best project I've ever done.
What was it after? What was the most challenging thing? Was it After Effects?
Yeah. So having to completely learn a new software did stress me out. And then George was an incredible help, because he showed us like the first steps of what to do. Then I remember Kin Carta gave us a package as well, the motion school to learn. So once I had the fundamentals down, I was fine, and I just ran with it basically. And now I'm addicted to After Effects, and it's my favorite piece of software.
Great. So some inspiring stuff. Shall we have a quick look at it then?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, which app have I got it on? I think I've got a no.
It should be on the website if you go back.
Oh, is it on your website? Is it?
Yeah. So if
you, I have it open, but
if you go on Work Roughs and then so it's got the main animation and collapse video.
No, I know I have this open. The thing is, I'm just running this. Yeah, here we go. Which we'd like to start with?
I'll start off with the main animation.
Yeah.
So Kin Carta already did work. If you go on like Co-op's Instagram, you can see basically this exact same video as this. But
so this was an exercise of sort of.
Yeah, I was basically testing my ability to see if I could recreate their style.
Okay, let's have a quick look at this then. These all had to be very short, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
In It Together, brought to you by Co-op. Head to coop.co.uk/podcast to find out more.
So that's recreating their style, and the feedback I got from that was, yeah, that's industry ready.
I remember that. So shall we go to the main?
Maybe the collapse video.
I think so. Yeah.
So this basically, I wanted to make my own advertisement then. So this was inspired by a piece of a quote I got back from the survey. If you want to play it. As you can see, there's my icon as well.
Yeah. And that's interesting, quite sort of using real footage. And that's the quote, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Super nice. Really,
and the
nice.
title of the podcast was Our Frontline as well, as you can see.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we also had a Instagram story poster, which was quite nice, I think.
Yeah, so the whole theme that I went with was with like World War II kind of. So like I wanted to bridge the gap between the the major event we're going through and then the the big last major event, which was like the World War. So if you could play that, this is heavily inspired by like World War propaganda posters. And that's where I got my icon from as well. Like I took inspiration from the medic badge that the soldiers would wear, and then changed it up to like the NHS blue and adapted it like that.
Thank you. I know that that was it was a big deal and a high pressure situation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really high pressure situation. So that was. You were coping with a lot there, weren't you?
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, the outcome of it was amazing. It was like my most inspired, personal, and best work I've created so far. And because of how good of a job I did, Lisa Dale, who is an alumni, as you know, and she works for Kin Carta, she noticed me, and now we spent the next project working together, and she was mentoring me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was gonna end on that, but you stole the thunder. But no, absolutely, and you're right to make that point. Thank you very much, Shane. I'm just sort of aware of the time. We'll probably run over by maybe 10 minutes or so, max. If we could just call Soraya in on this. Soraya, you had a bigger problem here, didn't you? Because you had to come up with not just a topic. You had to do a topic and an influencer. Yeah. What was your topic and why, and who was your influencer?
Okay. My topic was the quitting smoking in COVID, and the podcast topic is chosen based on the fact because the rate of the smoking in the COVID is increased a lot, and Co-op has special support to persuade people to quit smoking. And my influencer was Russell Brand, and I've chosen him because he created some important podcasts about the today problems like social anxiety, how we will survive lockdown, and freedom from addiction. Yeah, I thought Russell Brand can be worked for this podcast.
Yeah. So it's a good choice. And you'd already worked with After Effects, and I think in seeing your animation, that's evident. But what was the challenge, do you think? What was your big challenge, do you think, on this project?
Yeah, the big challenge was creating the icon because I wanted to follow the minimalism style. But I have already designed 2 icons. Can you go down?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Go down. Yeah, here, finally I designed 2 icons, and I tried to design a lock is present lockdown, the house is stay at home. And the no smoking sign is not smoking at home. But I think it doesn't work very well. And I tried to design another one. And the second one is repress outing smoking in the COVID. And I tried to play with words, and I tried to use all to creating no smoking in the COVID.
And you worked on you used After Effects last year.
Yeah.
Were you more did you try to do more here? Was this
actually I tried to gain my experience, and I tried to use more effect in the After Effects. And I try to research about the new trend in After Effects, and I can work with a neon effect in After Effects, Yeah, and it was exciting, and I try to follow this style in my video, and I bring a new style in my motion work, because you know that I'm a patient of After Effects and motion graphic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I know it's a big area of yours. Now I know that there was some influence. My cat, by the way, is going to meow a little bit now because she's been left on her own. I don't want to show this because I think it gives it all away. So should we run the video? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This I've pasted Soraya's website into the chat in case people want to look at the other work. There's quite a lot of work on the site which is worth looking at. But it is this one, isn't it, Soraya? Okay, I'm just going to make that full screen.
It's an icon.
I think to make this full screen, I will need to go into, yeah, I do need to go into YouTube. I'm just going to run that, okay?
Yeah.
I haven't got any sound. Is there no sound on this video, Soraya?
No, it's just an icon.
Have we got one with sound on it?
No, I don't see.
Okay. We don't have a copy. Is there a copy with sound on it that we can show?
And no, I got the whole video in the down. Yeah, it's the main video. Yeah.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Right. I can show. I'll show this one then.
Okay.
Right. So this is quite quick. It's over a very short period of time. It's only a few seconds, 15 seconds. So it's going to go quite quickly. So I'll just put the sound up. Hopefully we can, or everyone can catch this.
It's Lockdown 2, the sequel, and like all sequels, it promises to be derivative and disappointing and difficult.
I'm going to run that one more time, okay?
It's Lockdown 2, the sequel, and like all sequels, it promises to be derivative and disappointing and difficult.
Yes, I do find it's an amusing one, that. I'm just going to come out of sharing my screen for a second. Actually, no, I won't. I'll just put the tile up. So what did you get from that experience on that unit, Soraya?
I gained my experience in After Effects a lot, and I can make my portfolio more professional. And yeah, and it was working with clients again. It was a good experience, and I could put the Kin Carta, working with Kin Carta, in my CV and my portfolio. It's really great.
I mean, I think by looking at those pieces of work and reflecting on them, looking at the pieces of work for 42nd Street,
yeah,
the progress is evident. Cameron, do you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I love the style, and I use After Effects, and I wouldn't learn how you've approached that 3D world and the map. It looks awesome. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
do you
great.
think that Cameron, that the videos we saw at the beginning of the talk had better pace and timing and transition than some of these earlier ones? They're a little more. They're a bit more ropey, aren't they? Bit more.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because even in the industry, you'll get assets as you've been given from Kin Carta. You'll get them from the client, and you might only have 2 days, so it might not actually be perfect as you want it. You might want to actually spend a couple of days, but you don't have that kind of royalty or time given to it. And I think because you've done that second project and developed your After Effects skills, your storyboarding process, it shows, and I think you can move on from that. And I think it's still a great piece of work, but I think seeing progression in your own work from one project to another is really cool. And yeah, I mean, all of it is just industry standard. I I can't see my work was like this standard. I didn't know After Effects. I had to teach myself it. So I think you're both in a really, really good position going into the industry, because there isn't many designers out there that will have After Effects skills. Quite a lot of people get scared by motion, and it's like, oh no, we'll just let the motion designer do it. So I think it also gives you an opportunity to decide where you want to go, because you might actually want to become a sole motion designer. There's a great career path in that. You can go into moving image, so rather than animation, you could actually go into like video shooting. But yeah, I think it's really great, and I think seeing that progression between one project to another is really cool.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Cameron. I mean, the last time we met Cameron, we were down in London. I think it was well before lockdown, and there was a gang of us, and he just brought his portfolio along to the pub and just had an hour-long session with all the students. He was working at Public Sapient at that point, I think. We were there with, God, who were we there with? Name dropping. Pentagram and Super Union, wasn't it? And more than that, because it was after a Pentagram talk, wasn't it? So there were people from across London in that pub on that evening. It was quite a big one. We must get you in to do something, Cameron.
Yeah, let's get in touch and plan something. I definitely owe you something, for sure.
Well, I mean, there's always a possibility of nearing the end of the summer, maybe in the beginning of, Anyway, we can work that out another time. But
yeah, let's arrange a call or something.
Definitely. Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Thank you so much for coming along. Shane and Soraya, if you maybe in one sentence, what are these two projects meant to you?
Can I say first?
Sorry, I need to say it. Sorry, Soraya, in one sentence, what have these projects meant to you?
Okay, for 42nd Street Charity, that was great, and I can feel that you can feel this brief from your heart. The music, the sentence, it touched my heart. Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. Shane?
The 42nd Street one was really eye-opening, and to get people's perspective was insane, crazy what they're going through.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be developing that relationship moving forward. So I think it just remains to say that Shane got a mentoring role through Lisa for his Kin Carta work, and is now progressing on to his final third year. And Soraya, who's leaving us this year, is leaving us to go into her, she's currently on her placement with the LTE group, so we're pretty pleased with those two results. Obviously the links are on in the chat, and the links to our website are here in front of you. We will be doing further talks. They will pop up there. Watch the Instagram as well. And thanks very much to Rod, obviously from 42nd Street, for being our guest today, our industry guest speaker, and major thanks for a surprise visit from Cameron. And good luck, Cameron, with everything in the future, and we'll speak soon. Keep an eye on the Instagram. Most things going on there, and any inquiries, whatever, go to the bottom of the website, and all of our details are there. You can get in touch with us directly with me, should you want to know more when I get to the bottom of it. They're down here. Okay, so thank you very much. Thanks for your time today on this Wednesday. And Paolo, do you have any closing points?
No, just thank you everybody for participating, and yeah, good to see you, Cameron, and keep in touch.